Liz Truss's unexpected resignation as the UK's Prime Minister had left British Parliament with even more questions than they already had. Most importantly, who their next Prime Minister would be. Well, that was answered today as Rishi Sunak has just been elected as the UK's next Prime Minister. Former Minister Boris Johnson was running against Sunak, but dropped out Sunday night, leaving Sunak as the only candidate left. He is the third Prime Minister in 3 weeks, as well as the first Prime Minister of color in UK's history. Sunak, who is a former Chancellor of the Exchequer, will definitely have his work cut out for him as he deals with the pound, which has been dipping lower and lower as the year has progressed, along with many other new responsibilities. Now let's take a look at some pound pairs inside of the EdgeFinder. So here inside of the EdgeFinder, we're taking a look at the score chart summary, and right now I only have currency pairs selected just so it's a little easier to take a look at. You can see I've removed the indices and the commodities, so only currency pairs selected. The pound has been really bearish pretty much the entirety of the year. It's been dipping lower and lower, and former Prime Minister Liz Truss made some questionable decisions with the UK Parliament that ended up dropping the pound even lower. So Rishi Sunak definitely has his work cut out for him in terms of turning around the pound and raising its value. Now, if we look at all of our pound pairs here, we can see GBP NZD, GBP USD, moving up a little bit, GBP CAD, GBP AUD, GBP JPY, and GBP CHF. And all of these have something in common. They're all right here in this middle section with all of these neutral pairs, meaning that they're not necessarily leaning one way or the other. We have a few sells here, some buys up here, and a lot of neutral pairs, including all of our pound pairs.
Are you brand new to trading? Do you have a strategy that's not going so well and maybe you think you need some help, or maybe you just don't even know where to start? Well, lucky for you, A1 Trading has a trading help desk. All you have to do is fill out this form. At the bottom of the form is a list of things that you might need some help with. After you select that, we'll send you an email with a playlist of free videos from our YouTube channels, some tips on where you might want to begin, and even examples from our in-house traders and what they do in these situations. We'll even give you a peek at some trading tools that we provide that could help. Use the link in the description, the A1 Trading Help Desk. Click that link and get started now.
Now, once you get into this +2 and -2 range, it's safe to assume that we're trending in one direction or the other. It's not the same as, say, this GBP CAD pair here with a score of 0. This one is really up in the air. I mean, we can look at all of the metrics that we keep track of, and we can make an educated prediction based off of that data, but it's not as clear and obvious as some of these other ones. For example, Aussie New Zealand, which is a strong sell, -6. This market is definitely trending downwards. Now, like I just said, once you get into this -2 +2 range, it's safe to assume that it will continue to trend that way, either up or down. But of course, the markets are not, nothing is guaranteed with the markets. So let's go ahead and start off looking at GBP USD. Go ahead and get the pound and US dollar information in for the week. So with the start of the week, because today is Monday, we should have some new COT data as that gets updated weekly, institutional trader data. So here we are in the breakdown page, neutral score again, score of -2. COT data, score of -2 as well. So down here our COT data, US dollar sits at 78.56% long and 21.44% short. So institutional traders still, of course, very long on the dollar. The pound, however, 30.58% long and 69.42% short. So institutional traders agreeing they are selling the pound at the moment. Retail sentiment, on the other hand, 54% long and 46% overall for the pair when it comes to the retail traders. That gives us a score of 0 because it's really not leaning heavily in one direction or the other. Seasonality score of -1. We can take a look at our numbers for October. And historically speaking, we do see an upward trend in the later months of the year. Now, the trend rating is interesting. The trend rating is actually a +2 rating, which means that it expects this market to break to the upside. When the trend rating is positive, that means that based on the trend that it is expecting to move up. So the pound dollar pair may have actually gained a little bit of momentum today. We can actually check that in the market heat map. And let's see, let's take away our indices and commodities. And in fact, we're looking at GBP USD, so we can select major currency pairs only. And it has. So these blue boxes here means that what we're looking at in the market heat map is the biggest movers of the day, which way that they have shifted from yesterday or the last trading session to today. And so a blue box means that it's moving upwards, and a red box means that it is selling off. So from the last trading session to right now, the pound dollar pair is actually moving upwards in the right direction. So if we go back into the breakdown page, that trend reading +2 score means that so far it is starting to move in the opposite direction. So we could see a reversal on this pair. We have the score of -2 here. In the following days, we could see this move to 0 and then into the buy category potentially. GDP growth, inflation, unemployment, and interest rates, we have scores of +1, -1, 0, and -1. We can look here, GDP growth for the pound, 0.2% compared to -0.6% for the dollar. Unemployment is the same, both sit at 3.5%. Pound inflation is really high at 10.1% compared to 8.2% in the US. And lastly, interest rates, 2.25 for the pound and 3.25 for the US dollar, giving the dollar a 1% bias. That again is of course the difference between these two numbers here. And let's look at one more pound pair very quickly. GBP JPY was one that was in that neutral bias again, but had a +2 rating. So this one, again, our trend reading here we can take a look at is +2 as well. So this one is continuing to trend in a bullish direction. So we could see this dip into the buy bias in the next couple of days or so. But let's go through these scores here. COT data has a score of 0. We can look over here. Already took a look at COT data for the pound, so we'll just track the yen at the moment. Sits at 19.67% long and 80.33% short. So institutional traders both shorting the pound and the yen, although they are heavily short on the yen at the moment. Retail traders are overall short on this pair as well, 38% long, 62% short. Gives us a retail score of +1. Seasonality score of +1 as well. Here are the months for October. And historically speaking, we see an all-time average jump up, but in the last 5 years, it dips down. Trend reading we already talked about. And lastly, GDP growth, inflation, and unemployment have scores of -1, and interest rates have a score of +1. So taking a look at the yen, 0.9% GDP growth, 2.5% unemployment, only 3% inflation, and -0.1% interest rates. So the yen, of course, is our second currency pair here. So we are buying or selling the pound against the yen. We're seeing negative scores here because the yen is beating out the pound in all of these areas except for interest rates. Lower inflation, better GDP growth, lower unemployment makes it so that the pound looks less favorable against the yen. So there we go. That was a quick look inside the EdgeFinder featuring 2 of our pound pairs. Make sure you guys check out the links in the description if you need broker recommendations, access to our free Discord, or want to chat with us on Telegram. If you're interested in our trading software, the EdgeFinder, you can find that in the description as well. Thanks for watching.